Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And first, I want to associate myself with some remarks from the gentlewoman from New York, Carolyn Maloney, because I think what she said was exactly right. Often, people forget where we've come from and what took place in 2007 and 2008, the number of jobs that was lost, how people were devastated, and why that, and that it was in fact a Republican administration that then on a transition worked with the Democratic administration to try to help fix this problem, which is why we came up with Dodd-Frank as opposed to doing nothing at all, so that we can make sure that we protect our system. In fact, if we're serious about doing this, that is a model in and of itself, because that showed a Republican administration doing a transition, making recommendations to a Democratic administration also on how we can resolve some issues to make sure that we don't get in this in the worst recession and get out of the worst recession since the Great Depression. And when we talk about in the Obama administration, the economy, as my colleague just talked about, the reason why we did talk about it is because we talked about where we've come from. You just don't change things overnight, and it took hard work to make sure that we got out of losing 700,000 jobs a month to the place where we were at least gaining, jobs again, gaining 200,000 to 300,000 jobs a month. Surely, all of us would like, and the past administration would have said, we wanted to gain more jobs. And we would need to do that over time. But yes, I would be rejoicing also if as I did, as we started beginning to reverse the depths of the recession that we were in. Now, the other issue that I want to bring up real quickly in the time that I have left, Mr. Barr, is, we are, this world is now is interconnected like never before. And I believe in your testimony, you talked about how the United States led internationally in regards to Dodd-Frank, so that we could make sure that we had some uniformity, et cetera, and therefore there was some agreements internationally. So my question to you is, can you tell us whether or not under the Wrong Choice Act, would it cause the U.S. to go back on its word on international agreements, and how that will affect us, if you will?
You're absolutely right. The U.S. really led the effort globally for financial reform, really from the start, in beginning in the end of the Bush administration and continuing to the Obama administration, shaped a global financial structure that made sense for reducing risk in the system. And I do believe that moving backwards, as the Choice Act would do, on orderly liquidation, on designation of non-bank firms, in particular, would be a retreat from the global system that's developed in the wake of the crisis to deal with these problems.
Let me just ask you this, because we've got folks that's looking at this and streaming, et cetera. Just break that down for me. Break it down in layman's terms so that the average person that's listening, so if we get out of these international agreements, what kind of impact would that have on the average American citizen? That's who I'm focused on, the ones that so what kind of impact would that have on so that they could understand what you're talking about?
I think it exposes families to enormous risk of financial abuse in the marketplace. It exposes them to the risk and harm of another financial crisis that was, as Dr. Cook suggested, so brutal for American families in terms of lost incomes, lost jobs, even the ability to have enough food to eat. So if you get these things wrong, it can have a brutal impact on how people try and live their daily lives every day.
Let me go to Dr. Cook real quick, because on that same part, Dr. Cook, knowing that you've reviewed the Choice Act, what parts of the Choice Act, I know there's a lot that you can choose from, et cetera, but maybe there's one or two in the time that I have left that you might be able to single out. What parts of the Choice Act will go directly to the heart of hurting the average American citizen, the middle class and the low-income households? What do you think will most go directly to them? Because that's who I'm focused on. I don't care what part they're from, the middle class of America, the low income who needs the most help. How would this hurt them?
I think all of the provisions that weaken the CFPB and weaken the authority of the Federal Reserve to monitor and have oversight and make sure that we don't have the Wild West that we had before the financial crisis. I think this is the most onerous part. We aren't even collecting the information, or not allowing, these provisions wouldn't allow collecting the information we need critically to input into our models or even understand what is happening in the economy. We need this information in a timely way. And I think anything that undermines that authority is not a good thing.